Alright guys, so in this video we are going to talk about the muscle spindle. But before we begin to look at the muscle spindle, we need to look a little bit at muscle anatomy. So a muscle, an entire muscle, is going to be made up of both extrafusal and intrafusal muscle fibers. So extrafusal muscle fibers, that's what we see pictured here in red. Those are going to be the fibers that are connecting two tendons, pulling on bones and creating movement. But if we were to peel those extrafusal fibers apart, there's another fiber that is in the inside of a muscle that is encapsulated within those extrafusal fibers, and that is our intrafusal muscle fibers. The intrafusal muscle fibers, their job is not to produce movement, but they are proprioceptors. So they sense where our muscles are in space. So we have both nuclear bag and nuclear chain fibers, which are types of these intrafusal muscle fibers. And if we have a lot of these intrafusal muscle fibers together, we call that a muscle spindle. So we have many muscle spindles within a muscle. And those muscle spindles are going to detect stretch or sense stretch within a muscle. So when a muscle contracts and it stretches, the muscle spindle will detect that stretch, and they will also detect the rate of that stretch. So these proprioceptors are mechanoreceptors. So when there is a mechanical signal, when there is a quick stretch to a muscle, they are going to send an action potential down an afferent nerve, which is what we see pictured here, and they're going to send that signal all the way to the spinal cord, to the nerve root at whatever level that muscle is innervated by. So they will send their signal into the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. The dorsal horn is the back portion of the spinal cord here. So we detect that a muscle is being stretched. There is a signal that is sent down this afferent nerve up to the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, and then that nerve is going to do two different things. So one thing that it is going to do, it is going to synapse with a alpha motor neuron that is going to go back to the agonist muscle. So it sends a signal to an alpha motor neuron, and the action potential actually travels down this axon to the muscle in which that intrafusal fiber was in. So it is going to cause muscle activation The muscle spindle and the nerve that comes off of the muscle spindle is also going to innervate another type of fiber. So it's going to innervate an alpha motor neuron, but it's also going to innervate a gamma motor neuron. And what that gamma motor neuron is going to do, the gamma motor neuron is going to send its axon not to the extrafusal muscle fiber, but to the intrafusal muscle fiber and to the muscle spindle. So what that gamma motor neuron is going to do, it is going to actually cause contraction of the intrafusal muscle fiber, so that the muscle spindle, as the muscle contracts, the muscle spindle will adapt and contract as well, so that throughout the range of motion of a muscle, that the muscle spindle will be able to be activated. All right, guys, so just to review, a muscle spindle is going to be a mechanoreceptor within a muscle that senses stretch within a muscle. It sends that signal up to the spinal cord and then sends a signal back to the agonist muscle, causing a reflexive contraction of the agonist muscle. In the next video, we'll be looking at the Golgi Tendon organ. All right, guys, so in this video, we are going to be discussing the Golgi Tendon organ. So like the muscle spindle, the Golgi Tendon organ is going to be a mechanoreceptor. So where are they located? So we said the muscle spindle was located actually in the belly of the muscle, but the Golgi tendon organ is going to be located within the tendon. So as the muscle pulls on the tendon, these Golgi tendon organs are going to be activated. They are activated by mechanical tension. So when they sense that mechanical tension, they send their signal through an afferent nerve down the axon into the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. Remember, that's where our sensory information comes into the spinal cord. Then they are going to synapse with an interneuron and then synapse with an alpha motor neuron, much like the muscle spindle did. But rather than sending a positive signal, an activation signal to the alpha motor neuron, these Golgi tendon organs are going to send an inhibitory signal to the muscle belly. So as a Golgi tendon organ senses tension within the tendon, sends its signal into the dorsal horn, it sends this inhibitory signal to the muscle, telling the muscle to relax. So rather than causing contraction, it causes relaxation of a muscle. So why might it do that? Let's say that I'm performing the barbell bench press exercise. What's the muscle involved in the barbell bench press exercise? Main muscle is going to be the pec major. So as I'm lowering that barbell down and I'm going to press it back up, the pec major, the muscle, is creating tension. That tendon is attached to the muscle, attaching the muscle to the bone. The Golgi tendon organs within that tendon sense that there is tension being created by that muscle. Now their job is to sense that tension and cause the muscle to relax. They do that as a protective mechanism, not to overload the muscle and the tendon of the pecs. So when they sense that mechanical tension due to that pec contraction, they're going to send their signal to the spinal cord, back out to the agonist muscle, actually causing relaxation of the pectoralis muscle so that the muscle does not become injured. All right, so just a quick review. Golgi tendon organ is going to be another proprioceptor that is located within the tendon. It senses tension within a tendon or a musculotendinous unit, and rather than causing contraction, it is going to cause relaxation of the agonist muscle. All right, guys, I hope you have found this video helpful in understanding the role of and the differences in the muscle spindles and the Golgi tendon organs.